So now we're going to get into how you send an HTTPS request using JavaScript. Okay. So, well, that's all HTTPS. Actually, we're not sending an HTTPS request. We're sending HTTP. So anyway, because we're running on a local server and we don't have a certificate. So basically, we're going to have this client that we're going to be sending requests to another program we're calling the server that is running. It's actually going to be running, I think, on the same computer. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know where the server is. It's going to be in here. Nope. Okay. So we're just going to send a request and then receive some sort of response. That's all we're going to be doing with this HTTP. Okay. So all of this works over in ES6. It works over the fetch API. Okay. I keep going to the desktop. Okay. So you have this fetch, and notice how this is asynchronous. Okay. You see this async. Oh, wait. Fetch is asynchronous. Because why would it be synchronous? Like, we're sending a request to another computer, it may not even be on the same computer. It may not be in the same country, right? Why would it possibly be synchronous? It wouldn't make any sense for it to be synchronous. So, this is a great example of an asynchronous function because you have no idea how long it's going to take. It could take 1 millisecond or less because it's literally on the same computer, or it could take 45 seconds to respond. Okay, right? You just have no idea, and it's all run through the same API. Okay, which can be useful, which also can be kind of annoying because the fetch API can be good, can be bad. So anyway, basically, this is how we're able to send and receive data. So you can see we fetch something, it responds with some sort of response object, okay? And then if the response dot is okay, notice how that's very similar to the whatever it was called, the error handling thing. Then we're gonna get the JSON response from this await response.json, and then we're gonna render the response given some sort of rendering program, render response. Okay, let's see what this is. Generate. Great, we get some sort of JSON, which JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It looks very similar to an object. In fact, you can copy and paste this into JavaScript and it will be an object, right? It is valid JavaScript. So, yay, we've got that. So if I run generate JSON, cool. So let's get into GET requests. So there are two types of, well, there are lots of requests out there. There are many types of requests. There are two types of requests that we use in Team Taters: GET and POST. GET requests is basically receiving files that are on the computer, and then POST requests I use for receiving data that is on the computer or sending data that is on the computer. Okay, that's GET is basically when I type in a URL, I'm going to receive an HTML file with CSS and JavaScript, and it'll display a web page. But after that point, if I want some sort of if I want that JSON, I'm actually going to send a GET request instead of a POST request personally. But you can really do it over a GET request. Okay, what is the difference between GET and POST? What is the difference between GET and POST? GET is for fetching data, applying parameters into the URL, ideal for searches. POST is used for updates, sends data securely in the request body. Yeah, so you get you have a body that you're sending, whereas GET, you only have it inside of the URL, and maybe the headers too, but generally you don't use headers for that. That doesn't really make sense to do it. So, okay, you can read through this. You've got this error handling, you've got your fetch API, great. So, making a GET request. All you have to do is say fetch with some URL, and it will send your fetch request or your GET request. So at the top of main.js, create a const variable called the URL. Const URL equals this. Okay, this is kind of a complicated one. Notice how this is running over HTTPS. So this is an HTTPS connection. Here's your domain. Okay, so this is actually, if I go to this, I should see some sort of, I should see something. And all this is the domain. It's all it is a mask for an IP address, which you can go to your terminal, and if you're on Linux, ifconfig, and view your IP address. Great. And your IP address is public. So if anyone is like, hey, I have your IP address, great. So do I. So does everyone else in the world. Like, no one cares. Your IP address is public. It's how you handle, like, ports and stuff like that you have to be careful with. So anyway, which I don't even think that showed my public IP address. Nope, that's internal. Yeah, that didn't show anything that's useful to anybody. So, all right. Then you have this URL, or sorry, this path, okay, which is /words, okay? So if I go to this whole thing, and I type this in, I should see a blank array. And notice how this is raw and parsed. I like this about Google. It'll do that. And then I have this SL, this question mark SL thing. This is how you run what are called parameters. Okay, so you can have like a search parameter. So I can say SL equals test, and then run that, and it'll whatever the server will do, it'll be reading that test and doing something with it. Okay, and so this specific one is getting every single object that has the word test in it. Okay, or is very similar to test. So notice how it has a score with it. Huh, that's interesting. So this is like a fuzzy search. Huh. So that's what it's doing. And it's sorted. So I can go to the lowest score, which is HUST, which only has 2 letters that are thing and has a score of 86 and the num syllables of 1. So that's the data that we're receiving, and it's a JSON that looks like that. Great. We just sort of run. Okay. Inside of get suggestions, right here, let's create a const variable called word query. Const word query equals input field dot value. Okay, so this input field, that's this guy right here, because we're doing a document query selector input. If I go to my index.html, I should see an input ID form. ID equals input. That's right there. Okay, so I'm going to close out of that. And then we'll create a word query. I already did that. Create another const variable called endpoint. Const endpoint equals URL plus word query. Okay. So now we'll be working inside get suggestions function for the remainder of this exercise. So now if I run that, great. Inside, we're going to call the fetch, and I'm going to make this asynchronous because we're doing something asynchronous now. And then we're going to add cache, no cache. All right, awesome. So const call the fetch response equals await fetch endpoint, and then we're going to add some sort of cached response, cache no cache. Okay, so the whole point of that is if the get requests are generally cached on the browser, just to make it easier and faster, low latency, because if you're sending a bunch of the same requests, it just like it's usually like the same JavaScript files. So get requests are usually cached, post requests are usually not, because that's where data is sent back and forth. Okay, so now run. What did you call fetch? Yes, I did. Yes, okay, let me guess. It doesn't want me to do this. Okay, it doesn't like that. Whatever. Chain a dot then. Okay, so this is actually a good thing. Dot then. If I take a res r.json, all that's doing is saying, hey, I want to turn this into a JSON object. Okay, and it's going to return another promise. Okay, so if I run that, it's going to be mad at me that I didn't response run. Yes, I did. Okay, maybe I need this in parentheses. Run. Oh my god. Do you want this in brackets? Is that what you want? Literally is doing the same thing. Okay, whatever. Inside the success callback function, create a conditional statement if the probability is okay. Success callback function. Did you check the truthiness of response.okay? Oh. So it wants me to do this here. This is dumb. If response.okay return response.json. Yes, I did. Okay, that's the same thing. Yes, I did. Okay, it wants me to have this in brackets, I'm guessing. Ugh! It's the same thing. Okay, whatever. Below the condition block, throw an error saying request failed. This is dumb because if it's an error, it's going to throw an error here. So this is kind of useless. So, request. Okay, next we will add a second argument to the .then method and add another callback to handle the errors. Okay. Network. Create an arrow function that takes one parameter. Network error. What? Oh, yeah, that's right. No one does this. Oh, it wants this in brackets. I'm so sorry. God, I hate Codecademy. Yes, I did. Oh, dot message. Okay. Great. Okay, so this is really frustrating. This is not a good way to use Fetch API. I think this is bad. Here's what I think it should be. .then. I'm also gonna tab this guy in. .then r.json. Okay, .then console.log. So now here logging, this is success, and this is .catch console.error some error. Okay, so that's all that really you need to have. This was doing all of this was way too complicated for you can just do this. Okay, that's Codecademy needs to get with the times. So next, handle and get request. All right, at the end of the .then chain, okay, we have all of this crap. Pass an anonymous arrow method. Takes in .then JSON response as a single parameter. Run. Great. Inside render raw response. Okay. Run. Let's format our response to the data muse API to look presented on the page. To do this, we will use render response. function. Note that you can find the render raw response function declared. What's the point of doing that? Okay, whatever. That was stupid. Render response. Run. Great. Test. Submit. Okay. So the difference between these is you have the JSON thing and then an actual run handle response that handles it to make it look useful for you. But the raw response is useful for JavaScript. Okay. So that's Fetch API. I don't really like how this does it. It's not great. I also, yeah, this isn't a great thing. I don't really like how it's using the response, or sorry, the promises.then and stuff like that. There's much better ways to do it. But yeah, this is the fundamental of GET requests.